What's up, it's Mick. Today I'm doing a different form of video. I feel like I say that every time, but it's basically a theory video. Now, this theory is for a game called Brütal Legend, and it's such a seriously amazing game. I know that many people disagree with how it combines sort of action hack and slash gameplay with real-time strategy, and many more people aren't even aware of the game's existence, or care enough about its awesomeness, which is just a crime in itself. I was actually making a review of the entire game, but it's taking a very long time. It is genuinely one of my favourite games ever. Maybe it isn't perfect mechanically, but it most certainly has one of the most interesting worlds in gaming. And while even the devs may not have thought as deeply into it, it does have one of the coolest stories in gaming too, and it kind of stems from the world that it's set in. If this at all sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend trying out this game yourself. I promise you'll find no other games quite like it. Anyways, today's video is discussing how a sequel may come about in a hypothetical Brütal Legend 2, at least in terms of the story. I do want this video to not be extremely long, so I don't have the time to explain and discuss every story detail, so I'll continue the video with the assumption that you've played the game and have seen the story. And spoilers, of course. So, let's get into it. After beating the game, your objective marker reads, "Diviculus has been defeated and these brutal lands are free, for now." So immediately the game kind of teases that this isn't the end of the story. Now, to reignite conflict and continue the story, I think, besides a brand new antagonist, the two most probable culprits would be Diviculus and or Ophelia. Let's talk about Diviculus first. So as we recall, upon entering the Sea of Black Tears, Ophelia had an evil doppelganger made of her. It looked and acted as if it was actually Ophelia who had turned evil, but of course it is later revealed that it was in fact just a clone that was made of her using a physical possession that was connected to her in some way. So if the Sea of Black Tears has the ability to make evil clones of people just by using one of their small possessions, then wouldn't the outcome of this ability be heightened if it were to use an actual piece of someone's body? I would think so. Of course, then we just have to look at when Eddie kills Diviculus and his severed head lands right in the Black Waters. I think it's entirely possible to theorize that the Sea of Black Tears can use Diviculus's head as a vessel or conduit to make a reconstruction of him somehow. There's also the part where Eddie rips out his heart and just tosses it away. Maybe his heart also landed in the Black Waters, or at least close enough for the powers of the Black Tears to reach and grasp it. So if the Black Tears had Diviculus's head and heart, I'd say that would be enough to make a pretty intense revival of Diviculus. Not to mention that when Ophelia was cloned, it made a severely distorted and evil version of her, so we could only imagine what kind of form a Black Tear Diviculus would take on, or even what type of motives he may have after being revived. It's good cause to speculate that if Diviculus were to be revived by the Black Tears, would he be acting with revenge and free will, just with the added power of the Black Tears, or would the Black Tears take over his mind, motives and actions? Of course, the Black Tears did control Ophelia's clone, but that was exactly a clone. I think in this scenario, it's more likely that Diviculus wouldn't be cloned, but rather his actual original being be revived, because Ophelia was alive when she entered the Black Tears, whereas Diviculus is obviously dead as he enters the waters. It could be possible that with this new breath of life, Diviculus, acting in free will, could potentially create another army of demons and assault the humans again, but this time with the extra power of the Black Tears. Alternatively, maybe Diviculus, acting under the control of the Black Tears, aims to kidnap and force the humans to fall to the allure of the Black Tears rather than killing them all. Either way, if Diviculus would have self-control or not, he would undoubtedly come back with some kind of conflict against the humans. Now, what about Ophelia? So the game does leave that kind of teaser objective marker at the end, but there's another teaser in the final cutscene that shows that Ophelia hasn't fully escaped the Black Tears. Now, as it stands, it could technically be argued that Ophelia herself isn't evil, but instead she'd be fighting off the evil of the Black Tears as her own kind of battle, but I think that might be getting too real of a dynamic, so we'll just assume the Black Tear is supposed to represent the idea that she's still a little bit corrupted. However, I want to draw your attention to this small detail you may have overlooked earlier in the story. If you recall back to when Eddie and Lita leave Ophelia behind because they thought she had betrayed them, Ophelia sheds a tear, and it is black. But it's only after this when she goes to drown in the sea of black tears. So, if her black tear at the end of the game was supposed to be a teaser for her being corrupted still, then wouldn't that mean Ophelia was already corrupted the whole time before going to the Sea of Black Tears? I mean, look, her tears were already black before she went. This does have some substance as well, because for the whole time leading up to then, Lita never trusted Ophelia because she suspected her to be a tear drinker, since Ophelia's parents were tear drinkers. Tear drinkers are just people who got corrupted by the Sea of Black Tears. I think it could be possible that Ophelia's parents only gave birth to Ophelia after their conversion to the Black Tears. So this could mean that the power of the Black Tears, or some of the evil it holds, was somehow passed on to Ophelia from her parents, meaning that she's already predisposed to the Black Tears without much choice. This possibility adds more layers onto what we already know too. Maybe that's the reason the Sea of Black Tears only made a clone of Ophelia to do its bidding, so as to not actually harm one of its own children in the midst of the conflict. And that is purposeful wording, by the way, with Ophelia being a child of the Sea of Black Tears, because she wasn't simply converted, she was born with the Black Tears. So all of this is to say that really they have very many choices with what to do with Ophelia should they continue the story of Brütal Legend. Maybe she was always under the control of the Sea of Black Tears, and she was some kind of sleeper agent living with the humans, and now that it's been presumably resolved, she can continue to live in their ranks. Really, who knows, but I do think it's important that we realise Ophelia likely was a tear drinker from the start, like Lita had suspected. It's also important to note that the romantic connection between Eddie and Ophelia may also be completely falsified by Ophelia as a tactic to get closer and more trusted, which is also something that Lita hinted towards. Of course, with Lita being mostly hostile towards Ophelia, Ophelia uses that as some kind of manipulation to warn Eddie that they'll eventually turn him against her like the rest. In general, in a situation like this, it's hard to know if we should trust Ophelia or if the writers are planning to make Ophelia a good manipulator, because that is kind of the exact pitfall that manipulative people create. I do want to entertain the idea of combining both of the theories together though, of Ophelia and the Viculus. So let's say that due to Ophelia's characteristics and situation around her birth and family, she is the deepest rooted tear drinker currently living. So maybe she has some kind of extra control over the Black Tears because she's so closely connected to it. Then, the Viculus happens to get revived by the Sea of Black Tears. So now, Ophelia has one of the most powerful individuals under her control, or at the very least on her side, for whatever or whenever. Then, it may be possible that, through emotional manipulation, she gets Eddie under the influence of the Black Tears. Or maybe not, because I mean, he is the protagonist, but you see what I'm talking about? The writers of the story have a lot they could do, and I'm just saying, if anyone at Double Fine Productions sees this, or if Tim Schafer sees this, okay, I'm just saying, I'm 100% open and down to help write or direct the story of Brütal Legend 2, whenever. Alright, just hit me up in the comments, okay? Is that a deal? We have a deal? I'll do it. Just hit me up in the comments. I promise I'm down. Anyways guys, that's it. I know it's a bit of a niche video topic, but I'm just making videos I'm sort of interested in, I'm passionate about, and that's what I'll continue to do. And on that, I could genuinely do more theory videos because I think theorizing and speculating is cool. I even have other Brütal Legend theories as well. I could dive into them in the future, but I'll see. Anyways, thank you for watching. This has been Mick. I'll see you later.